they were kind of, anybody knew that.
Board meeting of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Today's date is February 25th. And my time is... Okay. We're going to get started. The meeting's called to order. I would call the members present are Commissioner Chaco, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Martinez, myself, Commissioner Santos, and I understand that Commissioner Duenas is supposed to be online. We'll go ahead and wait. Give them time to get in, but we'll get started. All right. Need a motion on approval of minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second? All right. Okay. We were supposed to have public comments. I believe he's not here, so we'll go ahead and proceed. Okay, Miguel, let's get started.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two resolutions. The first is Resolution 19 FY 2025. And this is seeking additional funding approval for the purchase of leased heavy equipment. If the board would recall, we did enter into a long-term lease to purchase agreement, which we received CCO authorization for. However, at that time, there was no purchase price, and so it was not included in the amounts that were authorized for the long-term lease. So we've reached the end of that point, and we have done some analysis, and we would like to proceed with the purchase of the used leased equipment. The proposed purchase prices for this equipment includes 3 sets of equipment: backhoes, dump trucks, and trailers, which all travel in a package. The proposed purchase price for the leased dump trucks are competitive given the good conditions of the unit relative to mileage. We've also made sure that as part of the lease agreement, regular service has been performed and preventive maintenance has been performed on all of the equipment. The proposed purchase price for the lease backhoes is slightly above the standard market valuations. However, the pricing that we received does include accessories and upgraded cabs, so that we feel justifies the premium. The purchase prices for the lease trailers slightly exceed the typical market values, but again, these are all in excellent condition. As a result of our analysis, we think it's in the best interest for us to proceed with purchasing the used equipment. We've done a cost comparison to what it would cost us if we were to have to lease equipment on a yearly basis, and there are considerable savings. So the cost that we're seeking with this authorization would be $329,000 for 3 Freightliner dump trucks, $149,000 for 3 New Holland backhoes, and about $41,000 for 3 trailers for those backhoes. So the total cost we're seeking to purchase the equipment is $519,510, and we are including the cost to extend the lease agreement for another 3 months in order to follow the appropriate approval process. So we've estimated that at an additional $58,000.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move to approve GWA Resolution 19 FY 2025 relative to the approval for GWA to purchase leased heavy equipment.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions, colleagues?
Yeah, Miguel, so did we take a look at what it would just cost to, so there was a rationale behind why you entered into or put out a solicitation to lease equipment in the first place? Mm-hmm. So have you done the analysis on why you're not just going out and leasing new equipment?
We will be putting out a procurement for additional leased equipment, but the 3 units that we have barely meet our needs right now with just the pressure line unit. And as the board is aware, we're advancing and expanding our leak detection capabilities. Right now, the leak detection team has to wait for the PLU to get, if they find leaks that require backhoes. So the idea is that this purchased equipment would serve our current purposes until we were able to get a new lease arrangement in place, at which time these then will be distributed to the leak detection teams, and then one for central maintenance also, which handles this sewer and sewer plant work.
No, I was referring to, rather than purchasing this used equipment that you've already completed the lease in, why aren't you just leasing 6 new pieces of equipment, 6 new backhoes, as opposed to purchasing this and then having a new lease? Why aren't you just leasing all new equipment?
Well, we don't have the new lease procurement ready to go, so there is going to be a gap in time in order for us to get the new lease in place. But we had always intended to exercise the lease option, the purchase option at the end of the term, so that we would have our own equipment, given that when we entered into this lease purchase agreement, we were having a difficult time with the aged equipment that we already had, which is now, at the end of its useful life. So we're purchasing this to replace current inventory, but we do intend to execute an additional lease for similar equipment.
Okay, so what was paid for the first part of the lease in total?
So the all-in cost per unit for the backhoes,
Is that on one of the pages?
sorry, I put this together after our work session, but we can have copies made and
No,
or
you
emailed
could
to you.
just say what it is. So what was the total cost paid for the initial term of the lease?
So the initial term of the lease for all the equipment was 1.16 million. And then the purchase price is about up 485,000. So if you look at it on a per unit cost, to include the additional lease costs for the next 3 months, the backhoes were about 183,797 per unit. Dump trucks were 335,486 per unit, and trailers were 48,875 per unit. We also did do some market research. We got back 3 quotes. So for a 2019 used backhoe, similar features, except it didn't have an enclosed cab. We got 1 quote for 80,000 for that unit. We only got 1 used dump truck quote, and it was for a 1997 dump truck, so it was 33,000. We got a like new backhoe quote, 2023 John Deere, 245,448, and we've got a 2020 Hydromech 4-in-1 loader with enclosed cab, 65,000. So all above purchase price that we're requesting, which was purchase price for the backhoes were 43,217 with a annual maintenance contract of $6,600 per unit. Dump truck purchase was 105,000.
Annual was 680 or monthly?
Annual is 6,600.
6,600.
Yeah. And then the dump trucks were $105,096, and the 12 months maintenance contract was 4,700.
So why aren't we just purchasing them? If you always intend to lease and then exercise the option to purchase, why aren't you just buying them? Because it's more expensive. You're paying more.
So when we did the initial lease, we did it because we wanted to make sure that we had the service and the maintenance capabilities, right? So we built that in, and we needed 24/7 capability. And the way that we structured it, if one of the equipment went out for any reason, they had to provide spare so that we always had 24/7 capability. If we purchase, we don't get that. That's part of the reason. I think we also wanted the reliability so that we could address our leak backlog. And I report every month that we try to keep everything under 20 backlog leak repairs per day. And we've managed to keep that, I think, because of the equipment availability, which we were not able to do before when we owned our own equipment and serviced our own equipment.
So how is it gonna be different when you purchase this equipment, sir? How are you going to maintain it if you?
Well, this is why we will still, with this purchase for the existing, for the 3-month lease, the maintenance contracts, so that we don't have to worry about that while we get the new lease arrangement in place. But these ones are not going to be, as the ones that are purchased will go into the leak detection, which is not as critical as the leak repair, the PLU units. So we still need that reliability. And that this gives us an additional redundancy.
And then the new lease agreement is gonna be leak repair.
Yeah.
So in other words, the new equipment, you're gonna get it? You're gonna get some more new equipment?
We're going to put out another solicitation for another set of leased equipment for our 24/7 availability, and then we will purchase these and they will go into our inventory.
What happens at the end of this future lease that you're talking about?
We would structure it the same way with the potential to purchase.
In some ways, these all are evolving.
Just out of curiosity, did they give you a residual value with the purchase option in the original award?
No, otherwise we would have included it.
So in this new solicitation, you're gonna ask for
We're going to make sure
so you're
that,
not gonna get hosed over.
right.
And come, like we're getting now, we don't have a residual value, agreed upon residual value upon award, right?
Right.
So this new lease agreement or solicitation you're gonna come up with, gonna specifically say you need to provide the residual value.
Yes.
You guys can do the math on whether it makes sense.
Any other question? Call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next resolution, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next resolution is number 20, FY 2025, and this is seeking authorization of the construction contract for the treatment system for wells 823 and 825, which were shut down because of high PFAS levels. The board will recall that this occurred in 2016-2017 timeframe. Both are high production wells, which we badly need to get back in service. This contract will provide for a central treatment system between these two wells, and also some electrical upgrades to provide backup generation, and then a new site for GAC treatment of the PFAS, which is going to be located on a new site that we've coordinated with DPW to put into the right-of-way adjacent to the lower well. So the total cost for this contract is $10 million. We're seeking a small contingency for this for a total authorized amount of $10.171 million. We have a contract completion period of 578 days, and we are using US EPA and DOI grant funding to complete this project. There was only one bid submitted on this, one responsible bidder, and that's A&R Pacific and Garney JV. They've worked with us before on well projects. They did the work on the NGLA monitoring wells that was part of the DOD $173 million grant.
Commissioner Duenas, I'm sorry, I will now recognize you, that you're online. Can I ask for your vote on the previous resolution? All right, thank you very much. Let the record show that Commissioner Duenas voted yes on the resolution, and he's also present. I'll accept the motion for this resolution, please.
Chair, I move to approve Resolution 20 FY 2025 relative to the approval of the construction contract for the GWA GAC treatment of wells 823 and 825. Second.
All right.
Mr. Chair, so
Yes, sir.
just to clarify, Miguel, these are part of what's good about this is these are two highly productive wells that we had to shut down because of PFAS.
That's right.
And now you're with you and US EPA with the funding. You guys want to, and we want to put these back online. It's going to help overall service and yet deal with the PFAS that we're all having to deal with. Yeah.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions, Colin?
Nope.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of this resolution, please say aye. Aye. Commissioner Dueñas? Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, colleagues? I'm gonna go ahead and excuse me, Gail, so we can get to the Gpwa.
Oh, wait, I do have a,
Okay?
Mr. Chair, the audit committee, met, this past week.
Okay.
And, both GWA and GPA have been conducting the time and attendance audits.
Sure.
And we'll get to the GPA one specifically, but we passed a resolution advising both utilities to get the time and attendance under control and to implement, you know, a system, an automatic way of doing it. Where are we on that? We talked about this in December. We're going on March already. What is the issue?
So right now, we're in contract negotiations for the RFP for the comprehensive support services, for which that implementation will be under. So we went through the process of selecting a vendor, the most qualified vendor. We initially had presentations in the month of December. Then, like most tech companies do, they break for 2 weeks, usually the last week of December and the first couple of weeks of January. So we've been back and forth with contract negotiations, trying to get the contract settled. It's a little bit more complex than a normal procurement like this, because it's a 5-year base contract that involves GPA, GWA, the port, and the airport. So we're having to cover a lot of different things to make sure that the vendor's clear on what everybody's needs are and how that's going to work. So we're getting close. We're at the point where we're going to paper it, and then it'll start to go through the attorneys for approval.
Okay, because we talked about this early on when we talked about taking on such a big chunk and you know, including all these different agencies, and now we're going on 3 months of negotiation. You know, it's like you're spinning your wheels with it. It seems like a beast. It seems like a beast that you can't negotiate based on the award.
Don't
3
agree.
months out.
I don't agree. I think
You don't agree that 3 months of negotiation is too long?
compared to a lot of the procurements we have, it's not that big of a, I mean, it's not uncommon, I'll say.
Any thoughts from the GM on it?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. The negotiations that we have, and especially on some of the more complex, even the A&E contracts, it takes some time. It's not handled within a month or two.
That's just for the utility, but we're including all these other these other autonomous agencies in it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's taking too long. So I don't know about what the other commissioners feel like, but
I'm just curious, we all have to agree, all four autonomous
Well,
corporations?
we have to agree on terms and,
Okay.
and conditions, right? So I think that's where we're at. I mean, a lot of work has gone into it, and we're towards the finish line.
Okay.
So
Now, this is tied into our enterprise management system?
correct.
Okay.
Covers that and a lot of other tech related.
Not just the
That's right.
time component?
not just the time and attendance. It's more. It was actually the JD Edwards
Yeah,
was the
package.
main scope
Right.
of work, right?
Right.
This was just a
Added feature?
residual.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
It's any technology that would integrate or interact with JD Edwards. So it is a broad thing, but we're essentially covering the managed services part, and we have an agreement on that, and now it's just a matter of, like I said, getting it down on paper and getting it
So
through the
we're
legal.
at the goal line?
I
if we
believe
wanna-
so.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner Santos.
Similar to that, Mr. Chair, thank you. So how close to the goal line, and more importantly, given how close we are to the goal line, when do we actually think we'll go online?
For the contract, when will
You know,
when will it be in place?
Yeah, and then actually doing what we,
So it's going to have to clear the attorneys of all the agencies, so I don't have any idea of how long that process will take. I anticipate it'll take a while. After that, it has to come back to the board for approval, and then after that, it has to go to the PUC. So,
So, Chris, the attorneys aren't already involved in the negotiation?
not yet.
Let me, just to be clear, I think the port has an in-house attorney. And who's the airport has an outside attorney. Okay. All right.
I mean, we can separate the time and attendance out and exclude it from this if that's the desire of the board.
You know, in my opinion, I don't really care how you do it. It just got to get done. It's just taking too long. We'll go into it with GPA because that's the most recent audit.
Okay, so just get us a timeline, Chris, as to, and just talk to your other friends from the other agencies and says, we're getting some feedback from our board, so we need to make a decision.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, Miguel.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I'm remiss in my duties. I forgot to recognize our colleague, Senator Jesse Lujan, our oversight chair. Thank you for showing up. All right. Public comment, gentlemen, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead. Wait,
What was the GWA and,
he's gonna use the mic. Start. Introduce yourself, Jake, and we'll go ahead and proceed.
Good evening, half a day. My name is Jake Kinata. I was here on January 28th. And I just want to do a follow-up on my claims. I'm going to pass this out to you guys. I apologize. I'm sorry I came in late. Okay. As I explained earlier, what I'm here for today is do a follow-up on the 928 fertile eggs that was damaged during the search. I did email your attorney for GWA, Guam Power Authority, and I asked her, what else do I need to prepare in pertaining to my 928 fertile eggs that I asked the CCU to reconsider during my public hearing on January 28th. Her response was she wants everything that regards to the grant. And I respond back to her, please bear with me, is that I appreciate your time in reviewing my claims and our recent phone conversation. However, to clarify, my grant program is entirely separate from Guam Power Authority and does not fall within your legal authority. Therefore, I will not be providing my grant program to GPA legal review. Regarding my claims, the matter is straightforward. A power outage occurred unexpectedly without prior notice and scheduled outage. At the time of the outage, 928 fertile eggs ready to hatch was affected by the power surge, which damaged one of my incubators. I did say that I had 3 incubators. 2 of those incubators were part by the grant and 1 is my personal. Due to the outage, these eggs were rendered non-viable, resulting in total loss. With that 928 eggs, 2024, I would be able to provide eggs to the local island. So my loss is 100% with my taxes. I can provide that later if you need it. I have already provided receipts demonstrating the cost of each fertile eggs, but you still insist on asking me a receipt for all the eggs I incubate. Miss Marianne, I have a hatchery. I have a brood stock's been certified by Dr. Miss Turner. Those eggs are from my brood stock. Each egg costs $10. Each day with chicks costs $10. What more do you need? I have submitted you evidence of selling the price at the recent flea market. Also, a receipt from August of 2023, which I purchased from the Philippines, $10 an egg. I came here personally and gave you delivery because phone calls were never returned. With the help of Mr. Reggie, I was able to reach out to you. If needed, I could also provide a letter from the Guam Territory veteran, Dr. Mariana Turner, to certify that my brood stocks and my status as a recognized hatchery supply day-old chicks to local and across the Marianas, including the Micronesians and Palau and the federal state of Micronesia. This claim is not complicated, it's straightforward. We're talking about the eggs, ma'am. You're the only one that's holding it back. It's been 1 year and 3 months and counting. This claim is Gpwa is responsible for providing reliable power for its taxpayers, of which I'm one of them, including myself. In this instance, Gpwa failed to do so. You know, I know you guys are doing your best to provide power grid for everybody. And I didn't like what you told me, that I'm living on Guam at my own risk. Ma'am, you were born on Guam. You weren't raised on Guam like I was. Gpwa failed to do so, resulting in a financial loss in 2024 that I'm now seeking to recover. And I trust this information provide further clarity and look forward for your response promptly, hopefully by this Friday. I hope I don't have to wait till next month, the next month before, or the end of the year. Plain simple, 928 eggs fertile, killed by unexpected power research. And now if you look at it, today, I got a call from Gpwa, PDN, asking me about the egg surge. Eggs went from $8.99 this morning to today at 5:30 to $10.99. That's ridiculous. But my price of eggs will not change for Guam. If my flock increased this year, which I'm currently doing, my price of eggs will drop from $6.99 to $3.99. Because I love Guam. This is my home. And one day you guys will be buying my eggs in the store. And I'll be proud of you because you buy it locally. Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? If you can get an answer ready.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will prepare, finalize the answer.
Okay. John B., can I recommend we start with Resolution 2025-12, since that's the easiest of the resolutions, and then we'll tackle each resolution? Can we do
Yes.
that, just so we,
Not all easy?
yeah, that's what we're gonna be here.
Is
And no
that,
GM report.
is that an indication, Mr. Chair?
Which ones are the hard ones, Mr.?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have 3 resolutions tonight for your
So we start with
approval.
25.
So FY 2025-12, and again, this is relative to procurement of comprehensive unarmed uniform security services for this facility and other facilities within the Guam Power Authority. The contract that we currently have ends on June 30. June 30, and the contract per year, cost per year is about between $1 to $1.2 million. We're asking your approval, and of course we will proceed also to the PUC for their approval because it exceeds the protocol of $1.5 million. We're asking for a 3-year base contract with 2 optional years, so totaling contract total of about $5.2 to $5.8 million for the contract period. So again, this is the first part of it. Get your approvals, then we will go out for bid, then we will come back, get the approvals, so on and so on and everything. But it's yeah.
Here's Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, even though this is one of the most controversial resolutions in my 22 years here, I move to approve Resolution FY 2025-12 relative to authorizing Gpwa to procure comprehensive unarmed uniform security guard services.
Second.
All right. Okay, I'll call for the vote. Please, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Dueñas? Go ahead.
This is 24/7 security. So we don't have any armed facility, but perhaps, for example, the new power plant might be armed. We don't know. The threats are becoming, but typically we just currently have unarmed scenarios.
Thank you. Okay, we can still call for the vote. Please, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. All right, John B.
Thank you,
Next.
Mr. Chair. Resolution FY 2025-09, and this is relative to authorizing myself, Gpwa, to enter into a sub-grant agreement with Gita. Again, this is for the construction of an electrical substation and underground power lines to that substation in the Mangilo area to service the Mangilo Medical Campus as well as the surrounding community. This infrastructure, again, is necessary to address the anticipated needs of the new hospital, electrical or medical complex, as well as the growing needs of GPA's customers in the Mangilo area. And again, in addition to that, this grant fund has to be spent by December 31st, 2026. What does it include? It really includes GURA providing a 2-acre parcel of land right across actually the entrance to here, Padian, across the street, close to the Route 15, under fee simple, and GURA will get it rezoned. We'll have the property rezoned before turning it over for public use and construction of the facility. The grant is $35,448,983.87, and it has to be expended by December 31st, 2026. And it's obligated for this project only. It cannot be reprogrammed and to another project, so therefore, the important thing that the GPA has the rare opportunity here to use this federal fund monies to build a much-needed substation for underground transmission lines in the Mangilo area. That will not only benefit the medical facility complex, and if the complex is not built, it will always be there to continue to serve our customers within Mangilo. Any expansion, the educational facilities, GCC, UOG, GW, all of this area, because power currently coming to Mangilo comes from Barrigada. So Mangilo has in itself, is one centralized part of the island. It has a lot of land area for expansion. It has been expanding. So GPA in itself has been looking at locations to put a substation this time for Mangilo. And so this opportunity came up, and we worked it out. And so we are now a sub-grant, with approval, your approval and my signing this will be a sub-grantee. The sub-grantor is GIDA, which was provided the funding through the governor and the DOA. So again, the funding of the certification, of course, with Department of Administration, the one that administers the grant to ourselves and GIDA. We are ready to go out for the first part of the invitation for bid, which is a design build of the substation. We are planning to do 2 to 3 procurements. The second procurement will be the construction of the underground transmission line. And the third procurement might be just for the main large pieces of equipment, depending on how fast. So the more we can get this money, expense, bring it here, we store it, it's combined to Gpwa, and then it's installed, the quicker we can buy, because 22 years is a very short time actually to get it done, but it just means that we have to do something differently out of the norm to get it done. Huh?
22 months.
22 months to, yeah. So again, with your approval is actually granting myself the authority to get into the agreement, and then secondly, to proceed to the PUC. There is a protocol really that when it's grant funded, it's a shorter protocol. They just look at it and stuff. They don't have to go through all this different analysis or such to make it happen. So any grant funded project through them is basically, it doesn't increase rates, so therefore it's a much simpler thing. So again, we do have the resolution is on page 185 of your workbooks, and then the sub-agreement, we do have a copy of it now. It's on page 227 of your agreement.
227?
Yeah. And it names Guam Power Authority as the sub-grantee. No?
Go ahead, Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, just to get the ball rolling, Mr. Chair, 'cause I have some questions. Wasn't here at the work session, but thank you. I move to approve GPA Resolution FY 2025-09 relative to authorizing GPA to build a grant-funded line extension and related power infrastructure in Manila. And then I have some proposed
Okay,
amendments.
so Mike, all right?
And then I have some proposed
Go ahead.
amendments. So, John and councils, I read some of the media coverage. I can't always assume it was accurate, but I read and watched it. But it's my understanding that the board asked councils whether the use of this funding would be is legally appropriate for us to receive it. And I believe the answer was yes.
Yes, it is.
In your opinion? Okay, great. And it was a verbal opinion, nothing in writing, yeah. Okay, so, and then regardless of whether a new medical facility is built along this route, because it's really right outside our front door, this line extension services Manilao, and it's a significant upgrade to servicing this part of the community. And so I'd like to suggest to the commission that and we don't have to give it, if that hospital never gets built for whatever reasons, this money is still a valid use. It's going to serve far more than just a single medical facility. It's going to serve the entire village of Manilao and related and nearby areas. And so I'd like to propose an amendment to the resolution that, I'm not going to touch the whereases, it'll just be the.
She's right next to you.
Yeah, as we know
Yeah.
from the legislature days, it's the resolve that I really only care about. And at least for the title of the resolution, I'd like to propose an amendment that we delete the phrase "new medical campus" and insert the word Manilao, so that the resolution the title would read, relative to authorizing GPA to build a Manilao line extension and related power infrastructure. That's the first amendment.
Okay,
I second the amendment.
all right.
Yeah, and the idea is this is, we don't control what's happening with any new medical facility.
Right.
But we can legally receive ARPA money
Yeah, of course.
for purposes like this. It's been, legal is vetted that it's gone to GITA, going to us, that's all appropriate, and that we can do it without legislative authorization, as prior ARPA funding has been authorized before, not just for us, but for other entities. So I think it's really better and more accurate for us that this is being put in for Manila and not just for one particular project that may or may not be built in Manila. And so that's the purpose of
Okay.
that amendment.
Commissioner Martinez?
Okay, so how would, with that amendment, going to entertain the sub-grant agreement on 227. It indicate there that the purpose of it is to provide for the Manilo Medical Campus. How is that now with this amendment?
This is what we talked about during the working session, is that in addition to supporting the medical supports the entire area of Manila. So, regardless if it's built or not, it's still going to serve the Manila area, right? But I think your question is more
I
towards
understand,
the.
yeah.
I
We're looking at the
understand all
agreement
that.
itself. But on the sub-grant agreement between GIDA and GPA, where it says the agreement purpose, and it's stated right there that it's for the infrastructure to support the Manilo Medical Campus project.
Now, with that change, just saying Manilo, are we contradicting the sub-agreement or?
It still supports it.
Still supports it?
Yeah, I feel the same way as Commissioner Santiago, and maybe, and this is where council can help us.
Maybe council can.
In our experience as legislators, whereases are wonderful and they say world peace and all that, but where the rubber hits the road in the decision-making is in the result, right? And at least courts have ruled that whereases are nice, but resolves are the actual actions of a board, of a governing board, and what they're doing. So what I'm thinking about, and again, I apologize I wasn't here Thursday, is to make it clear that whatever happens on the medical side, this infrastructure is legally acceptable to support Manila. And maybe whatever agreements GIDA and GPA have negotiated, and if GIDA wants to say, hey, I'm going to give you the money for a medical campus, but that we don't have to return it if that medical campus doesn't ever get built, all right? Then I would like to protect, to make it clear that what our interests were. I mean, I guess theoretically, well, first, once we put it in the ground, whether the hospital shows up or not becomes irrelevant, right? I mean, we don't control whether that hospital is showing up or not, right? We only control putting this infrastructure in with this money. So would it be an issue if this resolution just refers to putting the money in, the same amount of money that is in the agreement with GIDA is going to go into Manilao, and we remain silent on how the village of Manilao uses this infrastructure, and the decision makers of Guam uses this infrastructure in Manilao? Is there a legal threat that if we drop any reference to medical?
Like this grant money was granted for the hospital, for purposes of the hospital. Our project specifically, the electrical infrastructure for the hospital.
So we can't put in any other neighbors on this line, only the hospital?
You
I don't think so.
You can,
Of course.
because it does serve the community, but the purpose of the grant is to build the hospital, and you can't build a hospital without having electricity for it. So there are under ARPA, there are maybe 6 categories of allowable types of projects, and one of them is a hospital, and another one was water and wastewater treatment. There's no separate category just for electrical infrastructure. So I think if you took that away, you might disqualify the project. So it's better to just leave that in and let it be for the purposes of building the hospital, because that's ultimately the purpose of it and what it's going to go and serve.
But ultimately, we're putting in the infrastructure, in fact, and we're not going to just connect one customer to it. So since we're the infrastructure people, we're going to use the money to put in the infrastructure in Manila. It happens to be right next to where other parties would like it to be for their purposes, right? But we receive money all the time, and we don't sit there and say, in the village of Tamuning, it's only for these 100 people. This is for all customers that would connect to this infrastructure in this area, and one of them may or may not be a hospital.
So Marian, in the resolution, though, in
Yes.
the resolve, it specifically authorized me to sign the sub-grant.
Right.
Which is I'm okay with. I'm just trying to make it clear from the commission's point of view, this is an opportunity to serve a group of ratepayers in a significant way, and how we got the money is documented, right? But the goal of the because if that hospital never gets built and we put in the infrastructure, we're not going to take it out.
The thing is that the grant agreement says that it's for the hospital, and the grant agreement above us, which is DOA and GIDA, that's also for the hospital. These are the permissible uses of the ARPA funds. So if you just take it out of the permissible uses, you may be taking it out of ARPA.
No, we didn't take out the hospital out of permissible uses. We're saying is the infrastructure is going in. We're just dropping in our resolution, the resolution that authorizes this gentleman to sign documents and proceed with the infrastructure. We're just choosing, we see this as investing in Manila. And there may be agreements that say we'll give you this money because what your investment in Manila will help a hospital that other parties are contemplating, and we'll say, okay, we'll put it in, and we'll size it, and we'll do all of that stuff. But if you never build that hospital, we're not taking it out.
Marianne, let me ask you this question. The hospital structure, if it's built, okay, let's say it's built, who owns that property? I'm sorry, the building.
The government of Guam.
It can't be because it's design build.
No,
So the
we own
first-
substation.
No, I'm talking about, let's talk about just the structure, because you're telling us that this is a hospital complex. I agree, okay? But the building itself is gonna be a lease back, okay?
The
We
building for
don't-
the substation or the hospital?
No, the hospital.
Okay.
Because the substation has to be ours.
Yes.
Our bond covenants,
And I think that's all we're authorizing.
all right, I
It's a
just wanna be
substation.
clear that, you know, the question before us is we're gonna get $35 million to do this infrastructure build-out. We're good, okay, we get that part. I think what Commissioner Sanchez is saying that the benefit applies to everybody, okay, especially the Manila residents and whoever else is gonna get connected. But what I'm trying to say is that we all know at the end of the day, this substation is gonna be ours. It doesn't belong to the government of Guam, it belongs to GPA. So the same question should apply, the building itself, as I understand, is gonna be a lease back.
And I don't know anything about
Okay, see, so
how the project.
that's what we're being told, I'm sorry,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what's being discussed out there, is that in a leaseback model, the best example is JFK. Okay, we're gonna own JFK in 10 years, I believe, if we decide that we want that school back. Okay, like any other leaseback school, Okadu High School is gonna be ours in 2 years. Okay, and the decision I hear is being made that we're gonna take over, we want these schools in our name, so I guess the question is, and I think Commissioner Sanchez is correct, we should be allowed to say this will benefit everybody. I mean, you know, for that matter, it's a grid, right? So
Yep.
I'm just asking, maybe you should ask the legal counsels of GIDA and the governor's office. Is this something that might not, you know, I don't think it's a deal breaker, Commissioner
think so.
Sanchez. I just think it clarifies our role here.
I agree with you, Mr. Chair. I mean, other parties have an intention for how they would like us to use that, how they would like us to use that money so that it connects to an outcome that they prefer. We will use that money to put in the infrastructure. If that outcome never happens for things beyond our control, I don't want it ever interpreted that, well, we gave it to you to build a hospital infrastructure, the hospital never showed up, and now what, we have to give the money back? It's gonna be in the ground. And so, and I don't see how us saying, however you're giving it to us, we're receiving it in this way, and we're gonna spend it in this way. We're gonna put $35 million of the money you're giving us in this location in Manila, and good luck, we hope the reasons you gave it to us will mature, but we don't control those reasons, and we don't wanna be liable that if you don't deliver a medical campus in this area, we don't wanna be liable that, oh shoot, you told the federal government it was for a hospital, we put it in the ground, other parties didn't put in the hospital, and then GPA has liability to pay it back? I'm concerned about that.
I think it's the other way around. If you say that this is for the community at large and not just the hospital, you've taken it out of the grant. To keep it within the grant, you say that it's for the hospital, then if the hospital never even gets built, at least you had the intent. Because the governor is the one who obligated this for hospital electrical infrastructure, and she's gonna do the one for GWA for the water and water treatment plants. So, I think that saying that this is for the hospital.
No, we're just saying it's for Manila. We're not.
Manila will be a beneficiary because it can't help being one,
And
because it's here.
And are other parties planning to put a hospital in Manila? Yes.
Yes.
And that's incumbent upon them. On our side, we're just putting in infrastructure in Manila. And again, nothing here saying, if we put this infrastructure in Manila and you build a hospital there, we're not gonna hook you up. Nothing, resolution doesn't say that.
Well, let me ask you this,
Hold
Marianne.
on, hold on, hold on. Then, council,
Yes.
on the agreement purposes, on the sub-grant, on that statement there was this Manila Medical Campus. Can we follow through with that? And like Simon is saying, to include the Manila community, Regada, GCC, and all those, into this sub-grant, because this could always be challenged by HIDA. Always come back and say, hey, now you're including everybody there on the resolution that we have. So both sides, just let's take the sub-grant here, this agreement, and the language that he put, that he mentioned, included in that so that both entities clear the resolution as well.
And Mr. Chair, if we went to the resolve, right, the other amendment I was gonna just suggest was on line 5 of now therefore be resolved, number 1, just put a period after the word infrastructure. And it would read, we're gonna spend 30, GPA authorizes, or we authorize GPA GM to sign the agreement. And the agreement is, to me, where the rubber hits the road in terms of flowing the money, as a subgrantee for SLR funds in the amount of $35.5 million to provide funding for the installation of power infrastructure, and I was gonna simply add, in Manila.
But then you've rewritten the sub-grant agreement.
No, I haven't, I'm just
which,
writing our resolution.
So Marianne, in your legal opinion, what would be the compromise that gets Commissioner Sanchez's issues addressed that still has it? So is there a way to reword number 1 of the resolution, line, the first one, that, so, just wordsmithing off the top of my head, funding for installation of power infrastructure that would support, among other things, and you can just list the Manila community, what JB, whatever else you think that it's going to support, and you can just leave in MMC project. Right now, it reads specifically to support the MMC. What we're suggesting is that you make it inclusive of what you envision it supporting in totality, right? So the community of Manila, etc. But you just leave the MMC. Is that an acceptable? Would that suffice to maintain the grant agreement? So I'm not suggesting you take it out, but you specifically call out that what it would support, because it will. There's no doubt that the infrastructure will support more than just the MMC project.
And it does say, we're simple, on the resolve, which is the only part that matters, we resolve that he can enter into that agreement. And that agreement has lots of details and lots of references to hospitals. We're saying you can enter into that agreement. From our point of view, we're putting infrastructure in Manila, regardless of whether that hospital is ever built. And we hope the other parties that gave us the money to put in the infrastructure for the hospital are successful in delivering a hospital. But if they never deliver that hospital, we're not going to give that infrastructure, we're not going to give that money back. That
Yes,
infrastructure
and
is gonna be gone.
nobody will expect it back.
Okay.
The thing is that in order to build it, you're using grant funds, which only have, a handful of permissible uses. And we only fall under this one, building a hospital.
Well,
That's-
let me ask you this. So first sentence, we're just talking about the title. Really, to me, this is Manini stuff on legal. Relative to authorizing GPA to build a grant-funded line extension in Manila and related power infrastructure. How does that negate the possibility that a hospital will hook up to it? Just the title. And it's just the title, right? The courts, they'll read the title, but my understanding in the law, they read the resolves. We can put all flower and world peace and wicked and all that stuff, but the resolves is what matters. At least that's what happens in the legislature. The court says, I don't care what you were asked, what did you resolve?
Yeah, so the grant is for the hospital, and that's how we're getting to build the line.
So how does putting the word Manila and dropping the phrase medical campus in the title change that?
We can put Manila Medical
But that's not the only service, that's not the only customer it's gonna serve. So that's not even accurate from our point of view. We're not putting this in for the Manila Medical Campus, otherwise it'd be a lot smaller. We're putting it in to serve this corridor of Manila, and it's a big investment, it's underground, it's a major, this isn't being put in, if this was being put in for one customer, we'd make the customer put it in, right? But this is serving everybody.
Are you saying, Commissioner, you only want to change the title?
And one result.
Yeah, I think if you change the resolve, you have changed the use of the grant.
How about the title? No problem with the title?
The title doesn't control,
Thank you.
but it
Okay.
is more descriptive of the medical
But it doesn't
context
control, right?
mentioned.
If a judge
Not-
looks at it,
not
okay, so let's
necessarily.
go to the resolve now, because that's what they
Okay.
look at, correct? And, so at least, colleagues, it sounds like we can get away with the title if we want to, which is the first motion. And then, but since they're kind of related, if we get past the first motion, the second motion to be consistent with the first, motion is that, let me see, on line 5, we would add, right, for instance, delete the phrase "to support the MMC project" and to add the phrase "in Manila." And
I think that's MMC.
So I think your is that it doesn't just serve the MMC, it serves Manila in its totality. So are you comfortable just adding in the language that makes sure that it supports more than just the MMC project?
I guess I felt Manila was far more encompassing than an MMC project, especially given the possibility that, for whatever reason,
It doesn't get
people beyond.
So we add it. So we add whatever we want.
Well, I would just, that's why I say I'm comfortable with Manila, because we don't control whether a hospital is actually going across the street or not.
What I'm suggesting is that you're going to add in, to address your concerns of Manila as a whole, but you can't, she's saying we can't remove it because of her legal advice. Her legal opinion is suggesting that we should not remove it from it. So are you comfortable with just adding in additional language that addresses what this infrastructure will serve, besides just the MMC?
If that's the will of the colleagues, I'm a team player, right? As you know, I've also had a history that we don't always have to take our counsel's advice. We're the final decision makers, and we can not take their advice at our own risk, right? But we're all big kids. We understand risk.
So what is the concern with including it? What is the major concern with it naming the medical campus?
So
Just that it gets us dragged into something that is not of our making, and at the simplest level, we're being given money by another government agency to put infrastructure, up to $35 million in an area in Manila. That's all we're doing. Now, if it happens if a hospital pops up, great, they're gonna be able to connect. If a hospital doesn't pop up, we still did the work, and with the money that was given to us. And other parties have to figure out that once we put this in, if you never put it in Manila, that's on you, that's not on us. But we don't need to specify. I love our council, I have a lot of respect for them. I just don't see how a judge is gonna freak out that we didn't mention MMC in there, especially what happens if it doesn't come in there. I don't want a judge saying, well, you put it in there and no, what if someone sues us for saying, hey, how come you took that money for a hospital and never showed up? Right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm suggesting, is that you put in the language that you feel would cover that potential legal.
If we get past the title, I was simply gonna put a period after the word, or to drop the phrase "to support the MMC project" and put the phrase after the word "infrastructure" in Manila. That we're gonna put we are resolving to authorize the GM to sign an agreement with Gpwa to put $35.5 million to support power infrastructure in Manila. How is that? I'm not sure how that, I guess Gpwa could call us up and say, hey, because you didn't put in the word hospital, we're not gonna give it to you? Then maybe we can come back, right? But I'm just saying, at this point, we're receiving outside money like we get from EPA or this or that. And management saying, I want to use the money this way, and that's how we usually authorize it. And we're authorizing him to sign these sub-agreements.
Yeah.
We'll sign
We're
it.
just concerned that, they're concerned that it really has to tie into the program, because
But if you sign those sub-agreements,
in that scenario, we don't do that, then they can come back and say, you didn't do it, you were.
but John,
There are
but
treasury
no, no, I'm
rules
just-
John, if you
that-
sign that
No,
agreement, are
I'm
you not
just-
going to do that?
No, no, I'm not, I'm just trying to explain
No, I get
from
it.
my perspective, what I'm seeing, and stuff, so, whereas if we build it, because, again, this is being built as a line extension project for what is being built there, right? And normally, under any condition, whether it's a commercial customer or residential, they pay for anything over a certain amount, right? So this is what they're doing. They're building it, and all the infrastructure that's built is owned by the utility, and this is why the land, we're doing the construction, all of that.
Exactly.
And stuff, so it won't turn over. So, again, really, is the legal counsels that, without just referring to that sub-grantors, do we put in the agreement number that is here, Gita so-and-so as referred to in?
I don't think we need to, John, because it's
No,
attached to the
I'm
resolution.
Just
Well,
asking
okay.
them, just
I
to
mean,
make sure that, we just want to make sure that, and we can take out the reference for the MCC, but that it ties into this agreement that I'm signing, which is about putting in the infrastructure as part of their line extension. So
I mean,
would-
councils, I've been on a lot of boards and commissions, we're authorizing management to enter into an agreement. The resolution itself is sort of a macro authorization, and we're not telling them not to sign it. We're just making it clear that we're putting this in, the commission view, that if this is how we vote, that the commission says we're putting this money into Manilao, and there's agreements that say, by the way, when you put this money into Manilao, there's an agreement that if we put a hospital there, you're gonna connect it to it.
Can we?
And
may
we're saying
I-
he can sign that.
May I present a different scenario to just consider? I'm the one signing the agreement for the power authority, right? Because it's a customer coming
And
into
we're
a plant.
authorizing you to.
Right. But normally under regular line extension project, development, so and so, I don't need, required of me to come to the CCU for those approvals, right? Considering that this is a big magnitude, most especially because of the amount of investment, even though it's free, out of courtesy or for what, I don't want it to be misinterpreted one way or the other. I decided to say, okay, we're going to bring it to the CCU for agreement. So, other than, I'm the one that will bind, protecting myself by having the CCU say it's okay, but don't want them coming back later and saying, what the heck did you do, right? And I figured out it's in the best interest of the ratepayer. So by me signing the agreement, this is really, would it be one way to say that the resolution is really an authorization to me for my request in this specific agreement, and within the agreement, it includes all the requirements for the hospital. The resolution, in terms of the whereases, I've added those things because it's partly because of the controversy that is out there. But like I have noted, it was in our interest to look and expand the Manilo area. So it's really, otherwise I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole, if you will, right? But because it has an added benefit and stuff, that is why I'm tuned into getting this done, right? So therefore, I'm just wondering whether our council can look at it from that venue. Is the resolution really the one required to be a part of this, or is this added proof that I have the authority, as I had requested from the CCU, to get this done? No. Because I'm the one, the agreement, right, is the one, the controlling factor. So if I sign that, then I'm making Gpwa.
And we're sort of protecting him. We're saying, okay, we appreciate how we were given the money in the details, but we're going to authorize him to execute it. From our point of view, this money's being invested into Manila.
So like the,
I mean, and if the grantee wants to take the money back, then they don't like the resolution, they can always take it back. And good luck in building the infrastructure.
the resolution authorizes the GM to sign the sub-grant agreement for the purpose that is listed in the sub-grant agreement. Like that's what he is doing entering into the sub-agreement for.
We're just clarifying that we authorize him to enter in, or I'm suggesting we authorize him to enter into the sub-agreements to put infrastructure in Manila. Period.
Which includes the Manila
Which-
Medical Care.
And anything else that connects to it in the future. I mean, think of it this way.
The grant agreements fall under Treasury regulations, so you have to follow those. They can audit us. If they come back and they say you didn't follow them, then they can claw back
If we
the
put in the
money.
infrastructure, what did we not follow? We put it in Manila, he signed the sub-agreements with Gita, who got the money. He is coming to us saying, please authorize me because it's a big number.
I feel like you're putting a cloud on the intent. The intent under,
Is to build the infrastructure.
it is to build the infrastructure for the hospital.
No, not from our
Yes.
point of view.
Well,
The hospital will get their power. We're telling the grantee.
Marianne and Terrell, can you talk to councils, whoever they are, and just say, we just need clarity on this? And then, because I have my own questions, okay, because granted, you just gave this to us. Okay, that's my other issue. Okay,
I'm sorry, it was only finalized this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the future, okay, something of this magnitude, personally, I want to table this. Okay, give us time to read the document that just got into our hands. Because even then, are we absolutely clear that we are not involved in certifying funds? Yes, no?
For the sub-grant agreement?
Yes.
No, it
Okay,
is,
okay, that's
it's
clear
not,
then.
it's not
Again-
appropriated.
Again,
On the record.
you're on record saying that the AG is gonna absolutely not agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, make that be known, okay? Notwithstanding what we do. So go to the front of the agreement. What is 12 GCA? What exactly is that? Because that's what it's stating, that the agreement is authorized under this authority. What's 12 GCA? Yeah. What
12
exactly is that
GCA
section?
what? Which section is that?
If you
Which
read
page
on
are
the
you
front
on?
page of the agreement, it says right there, agreement authorities under 12 GCA subsection 50103. What is that?
That is Gita's authority to enter into a grant agreement.
With us?
Yes.
Or with anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Then let's go to page 235 of this agreement. Because it now reads that John Beneventi is the responsible administrator. And he may delegate his work, okay, not including the contracting authority. Who is the contracting authority?
Gita, I imagine.
Gita's the grant administrator.
But in this particular section, who is the contracting authority?
So it says the oversight of the work. I imagine they don't expect the GM to oversee every little aspect of the project, all the details.
But Gita doesn't issue the RFP, right? I mean, I think that's a good question.
We would-
Gita's giving us the money,
GPA
then
would
we
be
actually
doing
take
that.
over the money, we take over everything else at that point.
So we're handling the procurement of a substation.
Correct.
Correct, Marianne?
Correct.
Okay. So the responsible authority is John Beneventi, or in his words here, the administrator. What is concerning to me is that he can delegate this authority to another Gpwa employee? No way. Not when you're binding GPA and CCU. It has to be a GPA authorized personnel that's going to be the other employee. Otherwise, give this project to Gita. Gita is using us to be able to procure. Okay? Otherwise, they can go out to bid and find somebody that wants to do this, and we can bid on the project.
Or I think they're using the subject matter expert, but to me, okay, great. And you're giving us money under an agreement, and we're saying, John, you can sign that agreement. But the intent, what I'm suggesting is, the intent of our commission is to use this money to benefit the village of Manila,
And
which may or may, well, I don't know about hospital, not my box, but I don't want to worry about whether a hospital shows up or not. We're putting in enough infrastructure that if a hospital shows up, they can connect to it. If it never shows up, Manila still will benefit, which is also part of our job, right? Someone gave us money to fix something, and we fixed it. And Manila's the beneficiary. Do you really feel if we don't make a reference to hospital, Gita's gonna take the money back, and then they're gonna have to do what the chairman just suggested? What, they're gonna go get the land and get a substation, get a contractor?
In the next 22 months.
Yeah, but, guys, I apologize, I'm not tracking the logic of the disagreement and the subcontract agreement. It's a natural course to go through GPA for a power utility infrastructure. So why wouldn't GITA go to GPA as opposed to doing it themselves? Not like they're saying, well, we can't do it on time, so we're just gonna pawn it off. It's the right agency to do it.
I don't think either of us are saying
Giving us
that.
the money.
I don't think either of us are saying that, because I'm comfortable with authorizing John B. to enter into the agreement.
Right?
Right? I'm just saying the intent from the.
So really, the gist of it is, we're just getting the money. Nothing else changes on how it's spent. So what's with all the questions about authorizing authority and who's responsible for the contract?
Because
It's just the money.
Commissioner Chalco, unless you're not reading the news, AG Moylan is, I'm sure he's watching this.
No, but what I'm saying is, regardless of where the money comes from, nothing changes with how GPA procures.
Right. Except that we're not gonna be issuing checks. He decides that it's time to pay. You give the invoice over to Gita then goes to DOA, and DOA cuts the check.
Is that how that works?
Yes, we're totally on this.
I thought they give us the money and we issue the
I
check.
think they give us the money and then we pay the vendor.
I think that's how
I don't think
grants.
so.
I think that's how grants
I don't
work.
think so.
I think
Yeah.
that's how they're funded.
It's how all the
not any
grant, all
different
our,
from.
it's just like any other grant. So the money stays with DOA. They have one big account that has 104 million in it. They have a sub-account with 35 million earmarked for GPA. GPA procures a contractor. The contractor does some work, issues an invoice to GPA. GPA brings the invoice to Gita. Gita goes to DOA to get the money. There's 21-day turnaround, and then GPA pays the vendor.
Okay, so it is a little bit like you're saying. I mean, we're just the contract administrator. We select the procurement, but when the actual checks get paid, he has to talk to other parties that authorized us enter into this agreement, so that when you do this, we can get paid. We can pay the vendor that we hired.
Pay the vendor.
Yeah, we can pay the vendor we hired. So,
Let me ask the question, John. You got an RFP that's ready to go out for the design build of the substation, right? That particular, if you get through that, the award then issued by GPA, then you go to Gita and say, we're ready to do this. And that's how you fund it,
Then,
right?
that's right, and then they provide the invoicing, they pay us, we pay the contract. They certify that that fund is available for me to be able to go out for bid. So that's the.
and Mr. Chair, look at the second result. We authorize GPA to proceed under paragraph blah, 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 for the procurement for design and construction of the new Manila substation and related work. There's not one mention of medical, hospital, it doesn't say for the hospital, so to me, number two is, if we were just to put a period after the word infrastructure and or add the phrase in Manila, that's no different than number two. Resolve number two that never even mentions hospital, MCM, ABC, DEF. It just says Manila substation and related work. So from our point of view, we are a sub-grantee to receive $35.5 million to put infrastructure in Manila, not Dededo, not Tamuning, in Manila, according to this agreement. And we're authorizing John B. to sign. We're just making it clear as we review this request from management. We're saying, go ahead and do it, but make it clear that from our point of view, we're putting infrastructure in Manila, period.
Like the second paragraph builds on the first. The whole point
The
of
second resolve?
Yes, the second one, the point of having that is that you need to go to the and inform them what you're doing.
But we're not telling the PUC it's for a hospital.
Well, we will be. I mean,
Well,
I
it doesn't
just-
say that in the resolve. That's my
yeah,
point.
I
I mean, we're
didn't
playing with
wanna
words,
copy
Marianne.
everything from 1 to 2.
I know, but we're just playing with words. Are you saying that if we
Yeah,
put?
I don't think we're playing with words.
Well, okay. I mean, you're a lawyer, but, you know, English is my only language. If we put, and, you know, I've been in the legislature, we wrote a lot of these laws that you guys have to interpret, right? Okay. So, to me, just saying we're gonna do on line 5, funding for the installation of power infrastructure in Manilao. If Gita wants to take the money back, because we don't make any mention to of a hospital, they can have the money back. From our point of view, we're putting infrastructure in Manila. It meets the goal of Gita. Hey, when you put in money for infrastructure in Manila of about this amount, we can connect a hospital to it. That's true, they can. But from our point of view, we're not just doing this for one customer. We're doing this, what's that phrase? Oh, well, and related work. But as John articulated, we're doing it for this region, whether a hospital is here or not. So are you saying if we wordsmith, Gita's going to pull the money back?
I'm not worried about Gita, but more the Treasury. The Treasury is who is enforcing this to make sure, you know, they audit, review the reports, and they decide
Correct.
whether you've used it
And the guy
for
they
a
gave the money to,
permissible-
correct.
For a
And-
permissible use.
And they gave the money to Gita, and Gita said, John B., you will sign all these agreements, and they mention hospital all over the place.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't mention a hospital, does that negate the grant? If he's authorized to sign it?
Excuse me, I think we're gonna spend a lot more time on this one here, and I'd like to recommend to the commission that we go back, just table this, let's go back to the whereas. Look at everything, not tonight, work on this, and let's see if we can come up with some kind of, because there's some other issues too on the other whereases that I'd like to share, and, but I think in a matter of time, so.
Yeah,
do you wanna do it
my
in the-
concern is, that's another month or so, unless you recess this or
No, we're
something,
gonna
because,
We'll recess.
yeah,
Just
I
recess.
really need
back.
to
We'll
get
recess.
going.
In the
No?
meantime,
We'll
get
recess rather than push it to the next session.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So my
they need an
question then
answer.
is, it's because we have, yeah, that's it.
Why don't you draw your
No,
motion?
no need to, because we didn't even vote on it.
Okay.
so.
Yes, that's right, that's right. And I don't even think I got a second. That's right. We're good,
I
we're good,
second.
Mr. Chair.
Michael said.
Yeah, Michael did
Well,
second
then,
it.
I
Mr.
disagree
Chair,
with it, but I still seconded it.
for discussion, which is good. Yeah. So based on this,
You need to give us a date.
Anytime, the commissioners.
what's our calendar?
I mean, we can
Thursday,
meet next week, we can meet.
I can do Thursday.
On
Or
next-
tomorrow morning.
Next Thursday?
No, I can do,
This Thursday.
I can do, I
In
can
the
do, I can do this
PUC this
Thursday.
I leave on this, I'm off island on the 7th.
PUC this
We gotta do it
Thursday.
before
The
then.
next few days.
There's
Yeah.
well, the funerals are in the
Oh,
morning.
detail, okay.
How about Thursday afternoon? Everybody free?
Okay,
Let me check.
Senator Nelson and Jim Martinez. Thursday morning.
okay, so we're gonna table this particular resolution
And recess this
Thursday.
meeting till.
No,
afterwards.
we don't wanna dispose of the,
No, I'm with you. Go through everything else and then we table this
Then we
this
come back.
one.
Yeah.
We go through everything else and then recess to a time we are all comfortable with. I'm suggesting Thursday afternoon
Okay.
after the state funerals. In the afternoon, 2 o'clock or something like that, or 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever's good for them.
okay. Why don't we take a 5-minute recess before we jump into the next resolution, colleagues?
And then verify,
Because that one's gonna. take
verify
a
if
little bit
Thursday's
long.
okay with you and what time.
Yeah, Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Thursday.
Thursday at 5 is good
You
for
wanna go
you.
5?
That's good for me too.
That's good, yeah.
Recess for 5 minutes.
What about the PUC meeting on Thursday? We have a PUC meeting on
Let's
Thursday.
go to the CRC meeting.
You're not gonna go? You don't want us to go? What?
You say you didn't wanna go.
Oh, it's 6:30.
We do
Four o'clock.
We'll recess.
4 p.m. on
4
Thursday.
p.m. on Thursday, so you guys can. go.
Okay.
5-minute recess.
Yes.
We're live, colleagues. Commissioner Dueñas, can you hear us? We can't hear you, sir. We're just checking, can you hear us? Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, let's, we're back now in regular session. Commissioner Sanchez?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, okay, let's do I propose that we amend this resolution on the page. Sorry for the page number. It's the page number with the resolves, and there's 2 resolves. And I want to amend
188.
Page 188 in board books, and on line 5 of resolve number 1, after the word infrastructure, I want to add a comma and the phrase as set forth in Exhibit B. Council, that's sufficient? As set forth in Exhibit B?
As set forth in Exhibit B.
As set forth in Exhibit B, which will make the Exhibit B a part of the resolution.
And to delete.
I'm sorry, so the resolution is to add the phrase after the word infrastructure as set forth in Exhibit B, period, and to delete the 5 words afterwards.
This exhibit B,
Is
Can
the
you read-
sub-grant agreement.
yeah, is it identified?
So that it would read,
This one?
to provide funding for the installation of power
like, look at the-
infrastructure, comma,
Yeah.
as set forth in Exhibit B. And Exhibit B has the agreement that we're also authorizing
I'm
you to
just
sign.
making sure.
I just want to be clear, because I'm looking at Exhibit B and,
Yeah.
Marianne?
Yes.
Exhibit B reads the title Federal Provisions. Am I correct?
Government of Guam sub-grant agreement. I think page
It's
227.
227.
227 of the board book.
Yes, Government of Guam sub-grant agreement.
So is that the better language? What I thought, or is this sufficient as set forth in Exhibit B, which contains that document?
That's the name of the document, Government of Guam sub-grant agreement.
Oh, do you want- okay, do you want to-
It's Exhibit B.
Would you like me to see the GovGuam sub-grant? You want me to add the words GovGuam sub-grant?
The whole thing.
I don't think it matters,
this
but
is-
sure.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Say less. Okay.
Okay,
It's rare when I say Simon says say.
Mr. Chair, second?
okay. Just for clarity then, legal counsel, Marianne, we're talking about it reads Government of Guam sub-agreement. That's what,
That's Exhibit B, correct? Please make sure.
Because there's exhibits throughout the.
in the
agreement.
sub-grant agreement itself, there's also sections. Okay, but you're referring to this particular document?
Yes.
Okay,
It is the one that's supporting the resolution.
Okay.
It's identified elsewhere in the resolution.
got it.
Okay.
Okay?
And it's on the record, so.
Yes.
We're official. So-
Commissioner Dueñas, do you have any questions on the amendment by Commissioner Sanchez?
Okay,
But there's an amendment on the floor.
okay. Okay, noted, Mr. Dueñas. So we have an amendment on the floor. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dueñas. All right, so I'm going to call for the vote on the amendment of Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Commissioner Dueñas? This is on, yes, thank you. All right. Commissioner Sanchez.
And then since we did that one, would the body object to a motion to amend the title to simply say grant-funded new medical campus line extension in Manila and delete the phrase, I'm sorry. To build a grant-funded new line extension and related power infrastructure in Manila and delete the two words on line 3 that say, the 3 words, new medical campus. So the new title would say, relative to authorizing GPA to build a grant-funded line extension and related power infrastructure in Manila.
Second.
Question, Commissioner Martinez? Commissioner Dueñas? Okay. We're going to vote on the amendment then, since we have second. All in favor of the latest amendment by Commissioner Sanchez, please say aye. 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 Mr. Dueñas? Yes, we heard you, sir. We're voting on the amendment by Commissioner Sanchez on the title change.
There's no notice.
Go ahead. There's no notice of this resolution?
As with this title,
Okay.
it's not on the agenda.
No, it is on the agenda. We're amending it. Once it's on the agenda, the board can accept, reject, kick it around, change all the words. We told the public what the intent of the resolution is. It's on the agenda. You can't say that once it's on the agenda, the board can't
Okay.
touch it. This is management's resolution. We're deciding if we like it.
Okay. I'm going to call for the vote on the second amendment by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, say aye. 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 Commissioner Dueñas? Okay. Okay, call for the final vote on the,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I move to approve GPA resolution number FY 2025-09 as amended relative to authorizing GPA to build a line extension and related power infrastructure in Manila.
Second.
A grant-funded line extension and related power infrastructure in Manila.
Any other questions?
Sorry, can
Go
I
ahead.
mention that maybe it should be a resolution to approve the GM to enter into a sub-grant agreement.
That's what the
to
resolve said.
things that-
We approve the resolve.
Yes, and the title is, so that they match.
Oh, you want to add the phrase and enter into, well, we're authorizing GPA to build it. I mean, to build it, he's going to enter into, and then we resolve that he can enter into the agreement. We need more? We're resolving that he can enter into that agreement that you just said, as set forth in Exhibit B. What else is needed?
What's your comfort, Marianne? It, ultimately, it's the decision of the CCU.
It is.
Thank you very much. All right, I will call then for the vote on resolution
2509.
2025-09 as amended.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Duly passed.
Commissioner Dueñas.
Okay, Commissioner Dueñas, are you voting on the resolution?
So that's a no.
Well, now you have to vote on the amended resolution. Just yes or no?
Yeah, yes or no, sir? No.
Okay, but the amendment's
The
passed.
question, Commissioner Dueñas, is the resolution before us has been changed. Are you voting yes or no? Commissioner Dueñas, I need your vote, please. Okay, thank you. Let the record show that 4 ayes and 1 no. Next resolution, John B.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution FY 2025-11, relative to authorizing the management of One Power Authority to file a ratepayers bill of rights notice in anticipation of the filing of a petition for base rate adjustment with the One Public Utilities Commission. Before we can file any petition with the PUC, the ratepayers bill of rights come into play. So that's why we're putting it. We want to put out the publication, and then 90 days after that, we will be bringing back to yourself what's necessary, what we believe at that time. After review, or we're gonna do some outreach and everything, see whether anything will change or not. If not, or whatever, we will bring back to the CCU for your approval, so then our legal counsels can file the petition now with the PUC, and they can entertain it. No. In addition to that, Nodia, we do have to send out a mailer to all the ratepayers of what our intention is to adjust the base rate. So again, that's 3 months before a petition is filed with the PUC, as I have mentioned, and then secondly, we will put out a notice to every ratepayer, a mailer itself. Is it necessary and urgent? Of course, the new 198 megawatt combined cycle power plant, Ukudu power plant, is scheduled to be commissioned in September 2025. The base rate adjustment is necessary to cover the cost of the Ukudu power plant. The plant is 37% more efficient than Cabras 1 and 2, and even more efficient than PD 8 and 9. This efficiency will help import 930,000 fewer barrels of oil annually. That's about 39 million gallons. And the net result of all of this is that it will offset the base rate adjustment and still provide a savings to the ratepayer. In addition to that, the other added situation of a Ukudu power plant is that it also provides for lower, keeping the impact of constantly erratic and escalating fuel oil prices from going back to where history has taken us over the past 2 years. Last 2 years, the LEAC rate had gone up to 31.8 cents a kilowatt hour. With a similar scenario in fuel pricing in the future, that 31 cents would have been 20 cents based on the new Ukudu. So in effect, it really has put us in a position where we are finally doing something to be able to get away from the constant erratic issues that have caused our ratepayers a substantial gain. No? We have provided an Appendix A. It includes an illustrated billing for all the rate classes, no? From 500 kilowatt hour consumption residential, a typical 1,000 kilowatt hour residential consumption and stuff. So showing with those that there is a savings to the ratepayer, and in more particularly in the 1,000 kilowatt hour, for the typical 1,000 kilowatt hour consumption, which is about the average residential customer, it does show at the end 13.81% rate decrease, total bill decrease, or an additional $42 and sorry, my eyes are not the best at this time of the day. 29 cents per kilowatt hour reduction. This is again, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, in addition to what was already filed on February 1st. If you recall, we went from a 26% for a bill for this particular 1,000 kilowatt hour customer. We went, and on January 31st, the total bill was $359.52. With the one that we effected on February 1st, and furthermore with the petition and if approved, that bill now will go down to $264.03, about $100 a month less, no? So similarly, the percentages are almost, not exactly, but across the board. And each of the rate classes are going to be, the illustration is going to be published in the notice to the public. In addition, we have shown in your packages the 5-year financial projection, which shows that we are going to meet our bond covenants, our benchmark with the rating agencies, because they're the ones that determine how much money what is the cost of borrowing. It shows that we can meet our other obligations, no? And stuff. In addition to that, there is the presentation from our consultant, no, utility financial solutions, Mr. Mark Beecham, who's here today and can answer any other questions you may have, no? That shows the logic as to why and the process and how do we get the numbers of what we're filing. And last but not least, I do include the GM presentation of August 2019, which basically again brings us back to why did we file this? Why did the CCU? Why did we recommend the new power plan? Why did the CCU pass it? And why did the PUC pass it? And first and foremost, I'd like to bring everybody aware is to meet EPA requirements for CABRS 1 and 2 and PD 8 and 9. In CABRS 1 and 2, we decided that the best thing to do was to retire the power plant and build a new power plant. It was going to cost about $400 million to again, just retrofit the facility, which was already close to 40 years old at the time, just to comply. So, as was said there, there's no use putting good money on an old machine. Let's put it on a good machine, which we did, and now that's why we have Okudo power plant. So again, first and foremost, we will be compliant with all EPA regulation. We have a consent decree that, of course, the GM signed, right, with US EPA. So this will make it compliant because no later than 6 months after the Okudo power plant is commissioned, GPA has to retire CABRS 1 and 2. There's no what ifs or buts about that. That has to be done because it's non-compliant. That's a part of our consent decree agreement already. No? So again, in addition to that, if you look in 2019, there was a projection that was made again by utility financial institution. And in that case, that said, yes, you will pay the power plant and there will still be a savings that will go back to the ratepayers. The savings today that is being filed is more than what was projected. And despite all the ups and downs, the inflation, the COVID-19, the Typhoon Mawar, I forgot already, Mawar, if you will, and all of that, right? So again, I think what's before you, listeners, is really it's one way for GPA to achieve its promise to its ratepayers of affordable energy on a sustained basis, and this is part of it, the Okudo power plant, as you have agreed, Jennifer. So I ask your approval again to approve resolution FY 2025-11. We'll go through the process, and then we will be filing again. We will bring back to you what we find out from the public's input, and therefore from there file with the PUC, because we do have to begin paying the power plant around September. No? So that's, Mr. Chair's my request.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, motion to approve GPA resolution FY 2025-11 authorizing the management of GPA to file a ratepayers Bill of Rights notice in anticipation of filing a petition for a base rate adjustment with the PUC.
Second.
Questions, colleagues?
Mr. Chair, this is a major step that we've worked very hard to get to. The plant is almost ready, Ukudu's almost ready to come online, and as a result, we, as expected and planned, we have an opportunity to lower the power bill for our ratepayers while improving the reliability of the power that we provide to them. So this is something we've worked very hard to get to this, and let's approve it. The ratepayers are about to see almost the same decrease as February 1, about 14% based on Mr. Beauchamp's analysis and the team's analysis. So it went down about 13, 14 in February 1. It's going to go down again. So we want that to happen for our ratepayers, and yet we can still pay for this plant. Let it benefit our ratepayers.
Commissioner Machado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. JB, during the working sessions, we went through different scenarios. Obviously, the end result, it's going to result in a reduction in the power bill for the residents of Guam and all the different classes. But I think during the public outreach, it's important to discuss that really we ate into some of that savings due to the COVID, impact of COVID and the impact of Malwar, right? So this rate saving should be substantially higher if the power plant was completed on time. But there were some inflationary factors that ate into that savings that should have been realized if we actually did start commission the power plant on time. So I think it's important that the public understands that although they're seeing a 13.8% reduction in the rate now, really it should have been closer to above 20 percentile, right?
That's right.
If the plant was to come online when it was anticipated to come online.
Yeah,
So we want to make sure that we're painting that story about the inflationary impact on that savings, because as a commissioner and who voted on the power plant, who votes on all of the renewables, we were expecting a larger savings impact and
That's
a
correct.
lower base rate increase.
That's correct. Cases in point, no? What did COVID and malware do? COVID shut down the tourism, if you will. There's not much business. So sales have gone down. Forecasting
and it
from
delayed the permitting.
2019 came down, right? So yes, the DOD build-up is bringing us up back up, but we're still not 100. So all of those will, again, in the future, no? If they comes through, the projections, the growth comes, tourism.
I think Commissioner Limtago is pointing out the fact, it's really showing the full disclosure that events beyond our control, the delay in permitting when COVID shuts down the federal government, right? 1 month before the last water tank is to be topped off, Marwar blows off the top. Those were events that caused the delay, that contributed to less of a reduction than we wanted. But it wasn't caused by the contractor, and it wasn't caused by GPA. Events, global events beyond, and natural disaster. So I think I'm all with explaining what could have happened, but we need to make sure we attribute that the delay caused prices to go, the cost to go up. Why were we delayed? We need to make it clear. Well, we were delayed. Is when did we award the thing? 2018 or something like that?
And we didn't have control of inflation.
Well, and we didn't have control of permitting once CPA shut down. So,
Okay.
So again,
so I just want to accompany. I totally agree with Commissioner Limtago's message. I just want to accompany that the reason the savings weren't as great as we had hoped when we first approved it was events occurred that.
Well, besides the events, is the inflationary impact that paints a picture that I don't think a lot of people can grasp unless you explain it like how you explained it in the working session.
But delay added 2-3 years of inflation that wouldn't have been added if it was
had we
online in
started on
2022.
time.
at a high rate,
Right,
that the
and it was a
typical
high rate of
7-8%, and if you recall Biden and everyone been fighting for it. But the other thing, and we will, thank you, Commissioners, we will go through all that process. But
As we go out to the
there's
public,
also
right?
one thing, I keep bringing, I would like to bring the community back to where we were. Where we were was going to be huge $350 million in potential penalties that we have to pay. There was no talk about savings or whatever. So the team, the whole team, including commission, the commission PUC, and
That's
when-
why
if I-
we,
if I
but
may
that's
fin-
why we did the plan.
Yeah, yeah.
right? But we're talking about the delay, what Commissioner Tiago was
If
talking
I
about
may
is the
just
savings would have
finish,
been greater.
Sai, please. Yeah, and it's again, because from my perspective, the whole process then came out with the idea how to make it happen, where you pay for the facility and still have a saving and avoid a huge penalty. So therefore, and on our commitment, and of course, the CCU's commitment is that we try and find every way to make savings, to make this in the utility, to bring this savings to the customer. And that's what, the team has delivered in this Panera. But that's the savings will be increasing because we're now in a position where we're not throwing money out to the oil conglomerates. Now we're putting the money back into the system and to the ratepayers' needs. So I just wanted to, again, because that was a real tough decision to make. It took several years to get to, from the time we filed the petition to the time we get approval, because it was very difficult to try, how do we pay for that without impacting the ratepayers, no? So all of this will be
Put out to the
put
public.
out to the public, and again, I will make sure that that message is provided, no?
Commissioner Duenas? You're recognized, sir.
Whatever is needed to be able to move forward, but I'm very leery in anything in the increase for now. But rest assured, this year, because we're just starting up, I feel I'm very confident that we can help the management team and our authority here moving forward with all the needs of the expenses by getting our resources instead of increasing the rate to the people. And so I hope I'm giving a chance at least later in the year that there's something positive will come out of this, so that any rate increase will again be the last resort for us. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to date on my vote on this, but like I said, that I'm working very hard, to get the resources from outside, and it is the board's decision to find the money somewhere else, and I just like to get that opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Ms.
Mr.
Sanchez.
I just want to clarify and make it sure that the public understands that when we approve, if we approve this resolution, it will lead to lower power bills. It is not a rate increase. Actually, when you put the algebra math together, it is not a rate increase. It is a 14% decrease in the total bill. The total bill is made up of two sources that have to be paid for, the base rate and the non-base rate. And while one rate goes up, the other one goes down. The total net effect to Tan Maria is a rate decrease. So I appreciate that Commissioner Duenas talks about an increase, but I don't want to mislead the public. This resolution will not increase the cost of the power to the people. This will allow us to decrease the power. We have to petition the PUC for that permission to decrease the overall power bill. All right, and the LEAC is gonna go down, as we've heard a million times, the LEAC goes down way more than the base rate goes up. But the ratepayers want to know, is my power bill going up or down? And I just want to make it clear, because someone could interpret Commissioner Duenas' comments that the total power bill is going up, and that's not accurate. The total power bill is going down, estimated 14%. And so if you vote against this resolution, then you are voting not to lower the power bill 14%. If you vote for this resolution, you're voting to lower the power bill 14% and authorizing management to file that petition with the PUC so we can lower the power bill.
Commissioner Martinez, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for the vote on this resolution, 2025-01. Please acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Dueñas? All right, the vote is 4-1. Any other questions, colleagues? Motion to adjourn, please.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
John, can you give us an update on our testing with Ukudu?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What's the latest?
Thank you, Commissioner. Just 2 minutes and I give you an update on the
Hands up.
GM report.
No GM report, sir.
No, sir.
What's the
Just an
status of
update.
Okudu?
The status of Ukudu, of course, is they did get the unit up to 46 megawatts, no? And then there'll be more drink. Status of Ukudu is that's the first unit. The second unit, Thursday and Friday, will be tested up to the loading. And then in about 2 weeks, the third unit. And then for the rest of March, they'll be continually testing on and off the generators. So yes, it's 93% completed and it's in the commissioning stage. And again, knock on wood, everything is moving forward. Yeah. So that's it, Mr. Chair. The other information, of course, are in your GM report.
So JB, the third unit you're referring to, the steam turbine will be tested as well?
No,
The
there's
just the third
three
gas turbines?
45 megawatt
Yeah.
gas turbines. So the first one's already out there tested. This week they're gonna test the second one, and within the next 2 weeks after that, they'll be testing the third
The
one.
third GT.
Then after that, they'll be running this parallel, all kinds of stuff, and then preparing the boilers. Where now from each machine they'll send into a boiler, make sure it all runs, operate, and produce steam. And then that steam now will go to the turbine. It's like a close to 66 megawatt, just like Cabrous number 2.
Yep.
The steam turbine, and that will produce the extra power. So they do that one by one, and then the last stages are running O3 with the steam turbine, getting 198 megawatt power out at this efficiency as was contracted.
Okay. And then when they started at GT1 and it tripped or came offline, and I know they resolved the issues. I'm assuming they checked the rest of the GTs to make sure that none of those had the same installation issues.
That's correct, and this is why the commissioning period is a period of time. Is because they will find some loose connection. They will find maybe a rewire, things like that. It's just normal course of business now.
Yep.
And so that's why they're doing that. They have to make adjustments on fuel or air input, all of that. So all the experts of Siemens and everybody, they're all here now. All the technical expertise in making that happen. And of course our dispatching team are working with them to allow them to get into the system and generate that power. So whenever they're generating some power into the system, because they are more efficient, not as efficient as MEC 8 and 9 on the combustion turbine, but more efficient than our other combustion turbines, we're saving money. We're already saving money, not as much as when we get to, but the other thing is that we are working to make an arrangement, and then if I really need that machine, they will bring it on when I need it. And again, this is like the interruptible load, right? Where one other thing I'm happy is that now we have 40-some megawatts of basically on the island that could start up and help our personnel, our ratepayers, so that I'm not, I wouldn't say that we're at the end of load shedding, because that could be interpreted in different ways. No, I don't have that. That's not cast in stone yet, but it would really alleviates the risk.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Thank you very much, John B. T.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Teresa,
Commissioners.
Mary Ann.
Good evening.
Yeah.
You don't want this?
Thank you, Commissioner Dueñas.
The egg thing? My email